हरे कृष्ण अनिरुद्ध प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रणाम। थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण।
Are we ready, Prabhu?
Yeah, sure. So this Prabhu, today 2 shlokas or 3 shlokas?
2 slokas, Prabhu ji.
Okay, because here it is mentioned 22 to 23. So I was just thinking
22 and 23, Prabhu ji.
22, 23, yeah. Yeah, right.
Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very glad to have the association of His Grace Aniruddha Seva Prabhu, who has kindly accepted the Seva with a very short notice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji will be enlightening us with the Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 30, Shloka number 22 and 23. We will be starting with prayers of Prachetas. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I'll just start with it.
Prabhuji, you want me to share the screen, or you will share the screen, Prabhuji?
You can share, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll share it. You can start the pranam.
Yeah. जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा। जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधा। राधा मुरलीधर राधे। जय राधा रमण राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा। Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Mishpat Pram Supratkatra. Stotra Sadasmu Sisdom. Abhayacharana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. ISKCON Samstapaka Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Krishna Kripamurti Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jaya Mishpat Pram Supratkatra. Stotra Sadasmu Sisdom. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की अनंत कोटि आचार्य वृंद की नमः श्रीलारदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ राधा श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की जय गंगे मैम नमामि तुलसीदेव भक्ति देव की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय अनंतरा श्रीमद् भागवत की जय हरनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेटेड बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to all Shri Krishna. Whatever limited capacity I can serve. Hare Krishna. Start with the prayers. Om Agnana Timrandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swabhrupakada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvetam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Chanagaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shibhana Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarusha Kripa Sindhu Pyevacha Patitanam Pavane Vaishnave Gyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna. And repeat the text after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So we are discussing about the 4th canto, 30th chapter, 22nd verse and 23 verse. So the shloka goes like this. Prachetasa uchuhu Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya Mano Vacho Vega Puro Javaya Sarvaksha Margaya Agata Dhvane Namaha Prachetasa Ushuhu Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya Mano Vacho Vega Puro Javaya Sarvaksha Margair Agata Dhvane Namaha Prachetasa Uchuhu Namo Nama Klesha Vinashanaya Nirupito Dara Guna Vayaya Mano Vacho Vega Puro Javaya Sarvaksha Margair Agata Dhvane Namaha. What by what meaning? Prachetasa Uchuhu. The Prachetas said Namaha, obeisances, Namaha. Obeisances, Klesha, material distress. Vinashanaya, unto one who destroys. Nirupita, settled. Udara, magnanimous. Guna, qualities. Ahvayaya, whose name? Mana, of the mind. Vacha, of the speech. Vega, the speed. Puraha, before. Javaya, to speed. Sarva Aksha, of all mental senses. Margai, by the parts. Agata, not perceivable. Adhvani, whose course. Namaha, we offer our respects. Translation. The Pracheta spoke as follows: Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous, transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. This conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. Shloka number 23. शुद्धाय शांताय नमः स्वनिष्ठाय मनसि अपार्थं विलसद्वयाय नमो जगत्स्थान लयोदयेषु गृहीतमाया गुणविग्रहाय शुद्धाय शांताय नमः स्वनिष्ठाय मनसि अपार्थं विलसद्वयाय नमो जगत्स्थान लयोदयेषु गृहीतमाया गुणविग्रहाय शुद्धाय शांताय नमः स्वनिष्ठाय मनसि अपार्थं विलसद्वयाय नमो जगत्स्थानलयोदयेषु गृहीतमाया गुणविग्रहाय. Word by word meaning. Word by word meaning. Translation. Purport. Purport is not there. So we'll see the word by word meaning. Purport translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shuddhaya, unto the unadulterated. Shantaya, unto the most peaceful. Namaha, we offer our obeisances. Swanishtaya, by being situated in one's position. Manasi, in the mind. Apartham, without any meaning. Vilasat, appearing. Dvayaya, in whom the dual world. Namaha, obeisances. Jagat, of the cosmic manifestation. Sthana, maintenance. Laya, annihilation. Udayeshu, and for creation. Grihita, accepted. Maya, material. Guna, of the modes of nature. Vigrahaya, the forms. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dear Lord, we beg to offer our obeisances unto you. When the mind is fixed upon you, the world of duality, although a place for material enjoyment, appears meaningless. Your transcendental form is full of transcendental bliss. We therefore offer our respects unto you. Your appearances as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are meant for the purpose of creating, maintaining, and annihilating this cosmic manifestation. Hare Krishna, Sankarshna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. You want me to move the purport, Prabhuji?
1 second. I think not getting the purport. 1 second.
I will show it, Prabhu. 22 or 23, Prabhuji?
22 and 23, yeah, both. So 22 purport, I'll just read now. The word Nirupita, meaning concluded, is very significant in this verse. No one has to conduct research work to find God or make progress in spiritual knowledge. Everything is conclusively there in the Vedas. Therefore, the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedescha sarva aham veda vedya. Understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of the Vedas is perfect and conclusive. The Vedas state, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Namaved Grahyam, Indriyai. The transcendental names, forms, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of the Lord cannot be understood by blunt material senses. Sevanmukevi jihvado, swayameva spuratyadaha. When a devotee engages his senses favorably in devotional service, the Lord, through his causeless mercy, reveals himself to the devotee. This is the conclusive Vedic process. The Vedas also indicate that simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can, without a doubt, become spiritually advanced. We cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the speed of mind or words, but if we stick to devotional service, we can easily and quickly approach him. In other words, the Supreme Lord is attracted by devotional service, and he can approach us more swiftly than we can approach him with our mental speculation. The Lord has stated that although he is beyond the range of mental speculation and the speed of thought, he can be approached easily by his causeless mercy. Thus, only by his causeless mercy can he be attained. Other methods will not be effective. Shloka number 23. So, read the purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A pure devotee whose mind is always engaged in the service of the Lord can certainly appreciate the impermanence of this material world. Although such a devotee may be engaged in executing material activities, this stage is called anasakti, as explained by Srila Rupa Goswami. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham vayunjataha. A devotee is always unattached to material activities because in the liberated stage, his mind is always fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. The material world is called Dvaita, the world of duality. A devotee knows very well that everything within this material world is but a manifestation of the Supreme Lord's energy. To maintain the three modes of material nature, the Supreme Lord takes on different forms as Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Unaffected by the modes of material nature, the Lord takes on different forms to create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation. The conclusion is that although the pure devotee appears to engage in material activities in the service of the Lord, he knows very well that material enjoyment for sense gratification has no use whatsoever. Amagnantimarandasya Gnananjana Shalaka Chakshmanitimena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, as you rightly said, I got the message for the class yesterday, and then somehow I also could not prepare much for today's class. So, please excuse me. I'll try to do as much justice as possible with all the blessings of all the devotees assembled here. So, please bless me so that I can glorify the Lord and glorify the scriptures and also glorify the devotees. Hare Krishna. So, this is the chapter which is entitled The Activities of Prachetas, chapter number 30. So, as we know that Prachetas were the sons of Prachinabari, the 100 sons, and then they were, by birth itself, they were completely spiritually endowed. And again, by the advice of Narad Muni, they were actually completely spiritualized, and they had composed the shloka on Lord Shiva, and they chanted the shloka of the Lord Shiva, and by Shiva's mercy they were completely liberated. I mean, it says that in the second shloka, certainly they were transferred to the spiritual world, but apart from that, what they did, they obtained with in this material world, either in this life or in the other lives. So, here in the shloka number 2, my dear Barhaspatya, what did the sons of King Barhishad, known as Prachetas, obtain after meeting Lord Shiva, who is very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of liberation? Certainly, they were transferred to the spiritual. So, like this, because they offered that prayers, as we all know, for devotees, the prayers have been the most important aspect of their spiritual activity. And by offering sincerely, the Lord and even the devotees of the Lord, Tadiyanam, the Samarchanam. So, even the devotees like even Lord Shiva, who is a demigod, eternal servitor of the Lord Krishna, also will be pleased, and then he is going to give them the liberation. I mean, he is the one who is going to guide them or empower them so that they can be transferred to the spiritual world. So, like this, after that they underwent the severe penance. We know that underwater, in the seawater, and chanted the mantras given by Lord Shiva. So this way, they were able to please Vishnu. And once they did this, all this penance, and took all these very rigorous activities, again, Lord was pleased. So he appeared, personality of the Lord of Godhead, Krishna. He appeared to the Prachetas, and again, he also blessed them. So here, the austerities again, it is being reiterated here. So Bhagavatam, if you see, wherever the devotees or their life stories are discussed, these prayers and the austerities, what they took, these are highly glorified. They are highly, they are enumerated, and every now and then they are hammered into the into these shlokas and into these stories in these pastimes, so that whoever is the reader also gets a little benefit out of it, and then he also take away home some lessons out of this, and then he also does the same thing, the prayers and actually the austerities. I think my case especially, I'm poor in both of these activities. Austerities also I'm poor, and prayers also. Actually, from the beginning, I always one prayer which was taught by my grandparents was that you have to pray to Rama, Lakshmana, Anjaneya, Krishna, all that they were telling, Vishnu and all that, just to protect, so that you will not get any, you will not get any bad, situations. You will not land into bad situations. Just ask him to protect. Ask him to protect. That's it. So apart from that, we didn't know much, or even to. I mean, I don't know whether they asked me to beg for something, beg for some boons, or beg for some material happiness, things like that. I don't remember, but they were always telling "Kapadappa, Rakshane Madappa, Kapadappa, Ishte." That's the only I remember, and I always started. My only simple prayer was, I think, probably that only. I'm very poor in this offering prayers. That's why I try to keep reading those prayers. In Bahrain, every day we used to read the prayers after we do the Vaishnava Pranam, about 10-15 minutes from Bhagavatam prayers. Basically, every day, one day Gajendra Moksha, one day Kunti's prayer, one day Shiva's prayer, one day Nagapatni's prayer. So like this, almost 5-6 days we used to do. But still, it has not coming to set into my mind. I'm very poor in prayers, and austerities also. Austerities, again, nothing voluntarily. Austerities, when the devotees are, the pastimes are discussed here and their activities are discussed here, they're all doing voluntarily, for without anybody advising or telling them, or guiding them. But in our case, in my case especially, I just do it because, okay, some minimum standard is there that we have to do, minimum austerities. So Ekadashi, fasting, and some other austerities like chanting more, or avoiding certain food items on certain days. So like this, some very flimsy, very little, which will cause very little inconvenience to myself. So these kind of austerities. So what to do? So much conditioned. So like this, but I always have this understanding that Bhagavatam is every time telling that to offer prayers, and every time telling us to take some austerities voluntarily, and that is when actually we'll get the mercy. That is when we can see some miracles. Otherwise, it will be like any other normal, usual affair, and we also get benefits which are just average. That's all. Okay, you did this and you got this. That's it. Hare Krishna. So they did it, and then Lord again they came, and then Lord appeared, and his glorious, wonderful form that is also mentioned here in this shlokas. And then Lord blessed the prachetas, and he also said that you have to marry one sage girl, and so that you will also create progeny through her, and then get devotees for in the Krishna conscious way, and like your father, you also, how he gave you your progeny, so you also create, and then let them all be devotees, and then be the example to the world. So like this, he gave all this information, and finally the Lord blessed, saying that, my dear princess, in shloka number 17, by your mercy you can enjoy all the facilities of the world as well as heavenly world. Indeed, you can enjoy all of them without hindrance and with full strength for 1 million celestial years. So this was the instruction. And then 18 again is very significant. So I'll just read that. And thereafter, you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contaminations. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets as well as in the hellish planets, you will return home back to God. So here, very interestingly, the shloka talks of material enjoyment in the heavenly planets as well as in hellish planets. So what we have to understand is that, of course, in heavenly planets, at a higher species of life, in the human form of life, we can go to the higher planets and enjoy in this so-called heavenly planets. There will be a lot of facilities, comforts, and also the somarasa and things like that, which actually keeps us inebriated. So like this is available. Whereas in the hellish planet also it is again talking of material enjoyment. Actually, we normally understand that hellish planet means it is always suffering. It's a pain. It's always a distress. Yes, but it is also made in such a way in the hellish planet that you will actually go down in the species of life. I mean, you will not get a human life. You will actually go down in the lower species of life, and in that lower species of life, you will be given so much of there'll be some facilities, whatever you are doing, but that facility, although it appears as if it's an enjoyment, it is actually it's a distraction. It is going to cause you distress. Like, for example, we have seen the ants. When you keep a sweet item, sweet dish, and especially paisam and things like that, which is made of nice sweets and fragrance and all that, the ants, they come and they want to taste it, and they go around the bowl or the vessel around, and then they start licking small things, small little bit pieces. Then they start sliding down, and then they go almost near to the surface or where the preparation is there, prasadam is there, and they'll start eating it, and they'll get so much intoxicated. They'll call all their friends, all their neighbors, everybody will come. Line, you will see hundreds and hundreds of ants, and they will all start enjoying. But if suppose that is a liquid form or very thick form like that, we have seen like, for example, jamun syrup, and then if the ants come, however big it is, it'll actually start tasting, and then ultimately, because it is eating more or it is consuming more, it becomes heavy, or it will get stuck into that the syrup, and it'll fall into that syrup, and then ultimately it'll try to struggle for life, and it'll die. So this is the situation. Actually, it went for some enjoyment. It was getting some pleasure. It was getting the sweet facility and good prasadam, but unfortunately, it got caught up into it, and then it suffers, and then it dies. So this is this is how the hellish planets also, that you're in the lower species of life, you are so much attracted to that pleasure potency that you will ultimately suffer, and then you will die. So like this, it is fine. Yeah, and then we came to this 20th shloka. Yeah, again 21 again is Lord is glorifying about the Brahmabhuta stage, where always engaging in the activities of devotional service. So again, it is reiterated that engage in the devotional service, and then devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. So like this, you can get into this liberated stage, Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, na sochati na kankshati. So that is explained. And then the 22nd, which right now today we are taking, so the Prachetas. So yeah, so he will come concluding the previous shloka. Lord concludes his blessings, and then finally in this 22nd shloka, Prachetas actually express their gratitude to the Lord, and they offer their prayers. So that is what we are into today. So this prayer, Pracheta spoke as follows: Dear Lord, you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous, transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. The conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances again and again. So the Prachetas are actually giving what is the conclusion of engaging in devotional service. And even we understand from the symptoms of bhakti, what are the 6 symptoms that we encounter. So the first is actually the kleshagni, which is actually the relieve all kinds of material distress. So klesha means all distresses or problems, troubles. So that kind of a klesha agni means that like fire. It is by doing devotional service bhakti, it will by the fire of bhakti you can smash all this, destroy all the material distresses. So that is a klesha agni. And then you will the second symptom is that it will be shubhada. It is all auspiciousness. The whole whatever devotee engages in his activities on a day-to-day basis, he will find everything auspicious because he is attached to the most auspicious or the most purified Lord. And all the activities, I mean, we have seen that whenever we do our we do our pujas or deity worship, we always try to be as much pure as possible. One is physically as well as mentally. That we wear nice washed clothes, and then we don't touch unoffered items, and then or something. So typically material items we don't touch, or something which is like a used cloth or already which is worn, or used cloth like that, like a bed sheet or a bed, a cot. Those things will not touch. So we always want to remain pure. And then we go to the temple if you are doing the service, or if in the home also we take care of all these precautions. And then we do the achaman so that we purify internally. And then so like this, we make sure that because we are associating such a purified Lord, we always make sure we are clean and we are shuchi. At the same time, we also don't want to offend the Lord or the devotees, because Lord is so pure. And then if we also if we have little contamination, then it will be a huge offense. It will be a big aparadha. So it's actually coming under the major offenses. So we should always try to be clean and pure, both in mind, body, and words, and then do the deity worship. Then Lord will be pleased and will be happy. It is just like that. I mean, you invite a very important personality, a guest, probably your boss or your boss, somebody who is a very senior position, and then you invite him for lunch. And then if we are inviting him, obviously we cannot do our etiquette, our behavior, we should show as much respect as possible, and our behavior should be very polite and so much pleasing to that personality. If we don't treat properly, or if we do some inadequate service, I mean, obviously they'll be affected. They might be offended, and they'd lose the confidence on us. So like this, it is very clear in a practical way also. That's why we, as much as possible, take very much precautions, and then serve as to the best of our ability. So like this, because at the end of the day, we know that boss or whoever it is going to give us some. He takes away some opinion on us, and then in future also he can be influential to us. So that's why we try to please him to the maximum extent. If suppose we don't please him and we don't treat him properly, obviously we'll get the same result. Ye yatamam prapadyante. So they're also the same reciprocal relationship will be there, and then we may suffer. So that way we have to be careful in doing this deity worship or any of these spiritual activities. So that way since we are associating with the all auspicious, so we are also completely getting the that auspicious benefit and the effect of it. So that's why it's called Shubhada. So we find in our life that all through our life, we expect a lot of auspicious activities. Like, for example, even in our own ISKCON, as we know, if you see in the 365 days calendar year, at least about 200 days or maybe 150 days, we have some or the other festival. Lot of festivals, lot of observance we do, lot of appearance day, disappearance days of devotees. So that way, one or the other way, we'll be celebrating. And then what to speak of Kartik month? Whole entire 30 month is a holy festival. So we are always engaged in the auspicious activity. So like this, we have so many ways. And then Jagannath Rath Yatra, the 10 days, it's a 10 days Rath Yatra. So like this, and then Janmashtami, we do almost about 3 days. So like this, if you count all these things, we have so many opportunity to these to do these sevas, and we are always attached with the auspicious Lord. And then we also will definitely get magnetized by that spiritual activity. So this way, this is the Shubhada. Then we have Moksha Lagutakrut. Moksha Lagutakrut is that platform where even if you are given the facility of getting liberated, liberated means basically it is that liberated from this material happiness or material entanglement. And then I mean the concept of liberation actually is like a moksha is actually merging with the Brahma Jyoti, which is actually the Brahman realization. So even if somebody is bestowing us this moksha, even that we find it lagutakrut. We find it very low. We don't want, if somebody gives that benefit also that you go get into this Brahman platform, but we reject it. The devotees reject it because devotees know that Brahman realization is actually the very base level. I mean, it is just one angle of realization or one angle of realization of the Lord's potency, which is actually his effulgence. But unfortunately, many of the devotees, especially the Mayavadis and the Brahmavadis and the Smartas, they actually consider that this Brahma Jyoti is the Lord, because they actually engage in impersonal worship of the Lord. Whereas we Bhaktas who are having the Bhagavan realization, which is the ultimate realization, we treat Lord as a personal form. So that's why we engage ourselves in the activities to serve the Lord. So this way, that is the difference. And we do this, and for them, even if somebody grants us moksha, we say no, we don't want moksha, we want actually bhakti. That is devotional service. So like this is the third one. The fourth one is actually the sudurlabha, that when bhakti we do, Krishna, if we do extraordinary bhakti, he will probably be sold by our bhakti. He can actually be, we can actually purchase him by bhakti. I mean, we have seen in various stalwart devotees like Rukmini Devi, who actually actually had purchased Krishna just by the offering one tulsi leaf, one pair of tulsi leaf, the dala. She actually had purchased Krishna, Krishna's lotus feet. I mean, that much she was dear. We understand that in that Satyabhama and Krishna Tulabhara episode. So like that, there are so many devotees who are actually purchased by that. But if it is purchased by the devotees, then Krishna will actually be, I mean, he will actually be under the control of devotees, which actually is very rare. But in some cases it do happen, like in Bilvamangal Thakur or so many advanced devotees, where Krishna himself comes and then he relieves the devotees' pain. For example, Narsi Mehta, who was in Gujarat, and then later on who followed the Sri Vallabha Sampradaya. So like this, there are so many devotees where Lord himself came and then did that service to them. And because he was purchased by the devotional service of the devotee. I mean, I'll just discuss about Narsi Mehta's pastime also a little later. Yeah. So that is the fourth platform of where Sudurlabha. That's why he makes this bhakti available, the symptom, as the very rare Sudurlabha. Durlabha means it is not attainable easily. Sudurlabha means it is adding a extra emphasis that it is highly not attainable. So like this, Rupa Goswami also mentions in his instructions and in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that attaining Krishna's bhakti is not so easy. He makes it so difficult for us that it is near to impossible to attain bhakti. But at the same time, he also gives that shloka, Iha yasya harer dasye. So in that, he says that devotee, just by being engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, despite whatever be the conditions, whether it is in happiness, whether in distress, if the devotee engages in his best of his abilities and does the activities, then they actually considered as Jivan Mukta. So what is that shloka? Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikilashva api avastasu Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. So this is also a corollary. In one shloka, he says that it is near to impossible. You cannot, Krishna will not grant you bhakti. There are so many shlokas that he mentions and so many affirmations he gives for that. But at the same time, this shloka is one actually pulls up our confidence and takes us on that we can also do the devotion service for the best of our ability. And here it says, Iha yasya, in this material world, if you are doing Harer Dasye, you are doing a devotional service unto Hari, Karmana Manasa Gira, by all your actions, Manasa, by your mind, and Gira, by your body. All this, if you are doing it, action, mind, and words, Nikilashvapi Avastashu, whatever may be like I said, whatever conditions you are, whether in distress or happiness, your disease condition, or you are in a healthy condition, you whatever, in whichever condition you are, but you are simply doing chanting and then remembering the Lord and then try to do some seva, then that person, that devotee, is actually called as Jivan Mukta. He's already called as a liberated soul. So like this, he glorifies. Krishna. Yeah, so we were in that. The fourth platform was Sudurlabha. The fifth one is actually Sandrananda Visheshatma. So in this, the devotee goes to such an extent that he will be completely engrossed in the happiness, in the bliss. Sandrananda. Sandrana means it's immeasurable, like an ocean. Ananda, Sandrananda Visheshatma. And then he will become such a great Mahatma. Very special qualities he will be endowed with. So this is the platform of Bhakti, the fifth platform of Bhakti. That, like we have seen, Madhavendra Puri, or Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, so many of these devotees, exalted devotees, who actually did their seva, like Haridas Thakur, continuously they were engaged in the worship of the Lord and in chanting of the Lord, that they were enjoying so much of spiritual bliss, which is completely not found in this material world, which is uncomparable. So that much a huge ocean of bliss they will get. And then finally, Sri Krishna Akarshani. That is the sixth platform, the symptom where the devotee is completely attracted to Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's glories, and that he will, although living in the material world, he will actually be totally neglecting of this material world. I mean, he is totally oblivious of this material world because he is in that spiritual platform. We have seen Prabhupada, how he was in such an exalted platform. Wherever he was doing, whatever seva is doing, whatever preaching he was doing, he was always in that. He was never getting affected. Like once when they were traveling with his disciples, I mean, in the early days of his ISKCON movement, and most of them were there, many of the devotees were there, and all the Americans and Europeans, and they were going the flight, and in that flight, this Charlie Chaplin's video was being played. So it was being played, and then so Prabhupada started enjoying. He was watching the video, and then he was seeing the TV, and then he was laughing, and he was smiling. All that he was doing. All the other disciples were actually completely flabbergasted. They were completely surprised. What is this? Prabhupada is watching a comic character, a video which is a material nature. They were completely in that. They were thinking that how to react. They did not know how to react. Actually, they were also watching. Probably Charlie Chaplin, we know that anybody, any human suing that a sane person will actually, go laugh. He will get a lot of comic relief. So he'll also start, responding. But they were actually enjoying. They wanted to see that, but they also could not see because they thought that Prabhupada may feel, offended like that, or he might chastise. But Prabhupada was enjoying, and then finally, Prabhupada, said that. See, what he said. He said that. See how we can see Krishna in this character, in that personality. That basically he was telling about the secondary rasa, in which hasya is also one of the rasa. After the 5 primary rasa, hasya is also there. Hasya is there. The krodha is there. All the vivitsa, astonishment, like this. Another 7 rasas are there. So in that, one of them, hasya, is also Krishna's rasa. Krishna has given this rasa. So he was highlighting how Krishna has given this humor in this world and how this personality. So he was not, actually highlighting or glorifying that character or the person, the materialistic person. No, he was actually identifying Krishna's rasa, his creation, and then like that he was. He mentioned. Then suddenly, they all got relieved. Oh my God, yeah, this is what is Prabhupada's mood. And then there is one more incident which I want to narrate about Prabhupada. In the early 70s, he had gone to London. Bhaktivedanta Manor, which is there, which George Harrison had purchased the flat, and then he had given it. He had donated to ISKCON. That's a lovely place actually. It's about 30-40 kilometers away from London main city, the village area. It's a very, very peaceful area, and it's spread about 80 to 100 acres. Now, if you go, there is a huge goshala and lot of farming activity they do there, and wonderful deities. Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Hanuman is there, and Radha Krishna is also there, I think, and then Gaur Nitai. So these are the main 3 deities. So it's all made of marble, fantastic altar they have. And we had a chance to visit there also. Radha Desh, Europe Yatra from Balram Desh, and it was a nice experience. So there, that temple. So in Prabhupada, in his early days, he had gone there, and on his preaching yatra, and it was actually winter. In London or Europe, winter is very harsh. We all know that it can go up to sometimes minus, but generally London, I think, will not be that minus, but it will be around maybe less than 10 single digits, and it will be very cold. So so Prabhupada had to come for the Mangalarti. So he came for the Mangalarti. All the devotees were there. And prior to that, London as such has got a very, it's typical to like our Bangalore climate, very, very cloudy, always cloudy. Almost 8 months in a year, it is cloudy. You cannot see the sun, and lot of raining it is. It rains a lot. So like that, very moderate climate it is. And because of that, even agarbattis will not, or the lamp, even if the ghee lamp, if they keep, it will not easily come to light. And so Prabhupada started the Aarti, Mangalarti, and I think it was the Tulsi Aarti. He was there for that. And so while he was doing this Aarti, he started with the agarbatti, and this agarbatti, it could not catch, it could not get burnt easily. But when Prabhupada took the, previously they were all struggling to light the agarbatti, but when Prabhupada took that matchstick and wanted to light it, immediately it got ignited, and then he could do the Aarti. And then I think in the previous instance also that conch shell also want to be blown. So they were trying conch shell, but it was not blowing. But when Prabhupada took the conch shell, it was blowing like it was a huge noise it was making, and a very pleasant noise, or a very melodious conch sound it was making. So the whole devotees were surprised. We were trying so much, but the conch is not blowing because of the so much of moisture and humidity. the ghee lamp is not properly getting lit. But when Prabhupada wanted to lit it, it was all normal, as if nothing is affected. So that was his mercy. And that particular day when he was doing one Tulsi Arti, no, sorry, not Tulsi Arti, it was the main Arti only, Lord Arti only. And he saw that while he had to do the offer the Arghya, the bowl to put the water was not there. The conch was there, so conch he did the Arghya, and then he had to put it in the bowl to place the water. So that was not there, and then he was he wanted to so he wanted to tell the other the devotees that please bring that that bowl. So he was telling bowl like that, he was telling while he was doing this offering this Arghya to the Lordship. And they thought Prabhupada is telling Hari Bol, and then they all said Hari Bol, Hari Bol. They also started loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol. But Prabhupada actually wanted that bowl so that he can pour the water, offered water to that bowl, but they could not understand. And so Prabhupada, what he did, he saw that there is a Tulsi plant was there nearby, and then while he was doing that, he had to put the water back to the. So he just, it's almost about 5-6 feet or 6 to 8 feet away, Tulsi plant. But Prabhupada, with that same conch, he just, offered it like this, and then he pushed his hand like this, and that water exactly went and fell into that Tulsi plant. So like this, they were all astonished, amazed. Later on, they found out that Prabhupada wanted the bowl, and then later on, they brought the bowl. So like this, this is a miracle. Prabhupada, because wherever he went, everything used to be all inauspicious things would become auspicious thing. And even we know that in Bhaktivedanta Manor and in some other place that there was a haunting. The ghosts were haunted these places, and even there also Prabhupada did the chanting about continuous chanting Harinam Sankirtan and all that, and all the ghosts had to vanish. I think it was also in Bhaktivedanta Manor only, in some rooms or some part of that big mansion. So like this, Prabhupada's auspiciousness, wherever he goes, he was bringing. So this way we can understand how bhakti can transform. So I just discussed about these 6 platforms, and in each of that, we could discuss a bit of it. And if you look at this shloka also, it is talking about the same thing almost, that you relieve all kinds of material distress. Your magnanimous transcendental qualities and holy name are all auspicious. Subhada. Conclusion is already settled. You can go faster than the speed of mind and words. You cannot be perceived by material senses. We therefore offer you respectful obeisances. So like this, you can understand how the prachetas are glorifying and again highlighting the bhakti seva. So here Prabhupada talks about that we have to understand Krishna. Krishna is the only one to be understood. What is as per the Vedas, which is also concluded in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedesha Sarva Am Veda Vedyo, where Krishna says that if you have to understand the Vedas, you have to understand me. So that's a perfect understanding. And again that the shloka, which is Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grahya Indire Sevan Mukhe Jivado Swayameva Spuratyadaha, which Rupa Goswami states in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, that if you have to we cannot, by our blunt senses, we cannot understand the Lord. That only way we can understand the Lord, or only way can by serving the Lord. How we can serve? By our tongue. The tongue by taking Krishna Prasad and chanting the holy name. So by doing that, Swayameva Spuratyada, then automatically the mercy, causeless mercy of the Lord will evolve on us, and then we can get the the Lord can reveal himself to the devotee. So that is what is Prabhupada also mentions here. And the other part of the yogis and the dhyanis, the yogis try to do with so many Ashtanga yogas and so many other austerities, they try to please the Lord. And the jnanis try to please the Lord by studying scriptures and then mental speculation and all that. But ultimately it will lead to mental speculation. The jnanis, by acquiring the knowledge, they will go into this material, because they are still in the material platform. They have still not understood how the Lord is actually above all these material contaminations, or beyond the material perspective. That's why it's called adhokshaja. is beyond the materialistic world. So it cannot be understood by our material blunt senses. But the Gyanis unfortunately get stuck in that by trying to understand by acquiring knowledge. They get stuck, and then the pitfall is they go into mental speculation. And the yogis, they try to control their senses, do a lot of austerities, do a lot of dhyana, meditation, and all that. But unfortunately, senses cannot be controlled. The material nature doesn't allow this body to control. Actually, the ideal situation is that we have to engage these senses. This very Nai Bala Donku. In Kannada, we say the proverb that the dog's tail, you can never straighten it. So our senses are like that. It can never be straightened. It can be, it can be straightened if it is probably engaged in devotional service, in the Lord's service. Otherwise, it cannot be controlled. So this is the understanding where the yogis actually fail to understand. The pitfall for them is they try to control the senses, and the more it is like this, the stick, you have a hard stick. However hard it is, you try to bend it, but it cannot be bent to the maximum extent. Beyond a point, the stick will break. So like that, if you try to control too much, then it actually, you will lose the track of the control, and then you will actually break, and then you'll start indulging in so much of sense enjoyment that you all your controlling capacity will be for a naught. Like how Vishwamitra was doing so much of meditation, but just by listening to the Apsara, her dance and her jingle, the bells of her anklets, he got bewildered, and then he had to lose his sense of control. So like this, it is impossible. So we have to understand. And one more thing, what you have to understand is that the more a person tries to control his senses, actually, he actually comes to the platform of converting his heart into a stone. Like he becomes very hard-hearted. He cannot have emotions, and he cannot. So that is why the Lord has given this family life for us. Why he has given his grihastha life is because that we can engage in devotional service, not because singly we have to do. It is very, very difficult. So at least in the company of the wife, children, and relatives, friends, you can actually engage, because you are actually every day in and out, you're emoting, you're giving your relationship, you're showing your emotions. And these emotions, in a loving emotions relationship are there, then easily we can win over. We can actually make our heart soft. The more the heart becomes soft, the more you become humble by engaging in relationship, by serving your family, by serving your relatives and friends, and engaging each one of them in spiritual activity. You can also become very passive. Your heart also can become soft, and you can also get that causeless mercy of the Lord. So that is actually, this is the crux, this is the secret of our life. That's why grihastha life is very, very important, and it's a very perfect platform for a human being, that he can easily he can follow this grihastha life, and he can achieve his goal of life. So bhakti can lead to bhakti. And the 23rd sloka, I'll just touch upon it. Here they are again telling that they want to offer their obeisances, they want to fix their mind unto you, because this whole world, this material world, is a place of duality. There is always happiness, distress, profit, loss, and heat, cold. So like this. So in this, how much ever you try to enjoy, there is always, you try to enjoy, actually, as you are enjoying, there is actually a distress coming. Somebody who is so fond of drinking alcohol, liquor, or something, if he drinks, at that moment he might be enjoying, but actually he's taking poison. But because it gets a kick, I mean, he is, all his senses will become numb. He becomes kind of unconscious, and then he feels very out of the world experience. So he will actually suffer. But later on, that same liquor, the alcohol, will affect all the senses, and then it will not get digested in the body. It will not get into the bloodstream, and it will create havoc. All his organs, many of the organs, like especially liver, kidney, everything will get burnt up, and he will suffer. Now that's why we see so many of those drunkards ultimately suffer from liver cirrhosis. So many things. I mean, we have heard about that recently. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who is such a huge, having huge assets, almost 40 billion rupees, Indian rupees he had. 40,000 crores of money he made, such a huge money he made, all by investing in share market. He's one of the biggest punter in the share market. And then ultimately what happened? But unfortunately, his only his main pastime after his daily routine life was that he was under the shelter of the alcohol. So he was drinking every day heavily, bottles of liquor. And unfortunately, he had to suffer. He has to die at a very 60 age. 60, 65 is not such a elderly age, but just in that age he had to die. He knew that he's going to die. Doctors had warned him, but in spite of that, he was always drinking, and ultimately he died. Who is now children? Somebody else will enjoy that well. So such a foolish person. What is the use of his intelligence? He put everything, but he could not save his life. So now in the next life, obviously, he will go into the lower species of life, and where he will probably have more facility to enjoy, to drink liquor. And there could be so many, in the Naraka planets, so many jivis, the jantus are there, living entities, which probably depend on the food as liquor. And he will get attached to it, and that's it. So that way, hellish planet also, it appears it is enjoyment, but actually it is Naraka. It is distress. It is suffering. So this way life goes on. So, and then again, they're telling your, transcendental form is full of transcendental bliss. And so that's why we offer respects to you. And your appearance as Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are meant for the purpose of creating. So here the Guna Avatara of the Lord is highlighted. That Brahma takes care of the Rajoguna, and Vishnu takes care of the Sataguna, and Shiva takes care of the Tamaguna. So like this, you are actually created in such a way that it is going to benefit the entire material world. And so this is the beauty of his creation. So here Prabhupada also gives that, he tells a pure devotee whose mind is always engaged in service of the Lord can certainly appreciate the impermanence of this material world. Although such a devotee may be engaged in executing material activity, this stage is called anasakti. So that as we discussed, like Prabhupada, how he was engaged in service of the Lord always, he was not affected by the material world because he knew that material world is impermanent. And many of the devotees, even Rupa Goswami also gives that very famous sloka about Yukta Vairagya, how you have to live our lives. Vairagya also should be that that which is not going to affect your spiritual activity. You use all this material things in the spiritual purpose, and that way fulfill or spiritualize those material objects, and that way you can remain unattached to these material things also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu.
I'll end now this time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for highlighting a few important aspects of the devotional service and how it is superior to other type of spiritual practice. Yes. And also you mentioned about the importance of not committing any aparad during the deity worship and what level of cleanliness that we may have to maintain. Also, you very nicely brought several leelas from Srila Prabhupada past time. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, you may please unmute your mic and share any comments. Maybe in the interest of time, you can take one comment or one question.
Prabhu, can you just repeat that 5 things with the devotional service will help us or it affects? Like you told.
Actually, this is called the symptoms, basically, symptoms of bhakti. What the bhakti can actually bestow us. So the 6 symptoms are, the first is actually the kleshagni, which is relief from material distress. Second is shubhada, which gives all auspiciousness. Did you attend yesterday the Snan Yatra, Mataji, in the temple?
Yes, Prabhu.
How did you feel?
Yeah, amazing, Prabhu. So blissful.
So what if suppose we say that every day we'll have Snan Yatra, every day we'll have... how do you feel?
That's what it was. Very ecstatic, Prabhu. Very nice.
Yeah. So that is actually because why? Because we are engaging with the all auspicious. So when we're engaging with our all auspicious, obviously we'll get the same the result or the benefit. So that is a Shubhada. But unfortunately, we are bound up by our materialistic or job or work, so many things that we cannot do everyday Snan Yatra to the Lord, everyday Abhisheka, everyday festival we cannot do. So that's what. So how much ever quick we can get relieved from this entanglement, then that much faster we can attain Krishna's lotus feet. Haribol. That is actually the substance. Sum and substance.
One, Prabhu. What is the third and fourth one? The
Yes.
fifth.
So Shubhada, the third one is actually the Moksha Lagutakrut, where even liberation, if somebody offers, is actually considered less wanting. That you will reject even an offer for liberation. The fourth is Sudurlabha, that bhakti makes the devotee, the bhakti is actually rare. Krishna gives this a very rare soul, 1 in a million or 1 in a 100 million devotee gets this special mercy. And then the fifth is Sri Krishna Sandrananda Visheshatma, that is condensed transcendental bliss. And sixth is Sri Krishna Akarshani, that is supreme attraction to Krishna.
What do you call it? Sri Krishna?
Akarshani.
Akarshani. Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Dandavata Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, again. Once again, for
thanks.
sharing the nectar and short notice.
I could not discuss Narsimha Mehta's pastime because I actually didn't look at the watch. Had I looked at the time, I could have reduced some of my because I went too much into this 6 symptoms, I think. Anyway, so some of the next time I'll discuss about Narsimha Mehta's pastimes. Haribol.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna. We will end today's session with
Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava ki jai. Anantakoti Acharya ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, devotees. I'll be ending the Zoom session.